Hello, I'm Franciscan Father Garret Edmonds from the Franciscan Monastery in Washington, D.C. And today I'm standing in front of the replica of the Chapel of the Ascension from the Mount of Olives that we have here at our Franciscan Monastery as we reflect a bit about the events of Jesus' ascension into heaven when he returns to the Father's right hand and takes his rightful place in glory. In Jerusalem, the Chapel of the Ascension, at least the chapel that recalls the story in Luke's Acts of the Apostles, is located on the Mount of Olives, and it is today actually in the care of Muslims who also believe that Jesus ascended into heaven. As the church begins to prepare to celebrate the Ascension, there's a couple of things that I think might be helpful for us in terms of reflecting upon this event as we recall Jesus' return to the Father. In the Acts of the Apostles, St. Luke talks about Jesus' return to the Father 40 days after the resurrection. He writes, "As they watched, Jesus was taken up and disappeared in a cloud. They stood there, staring into an empty sky. Suddenly, two men appeared in white robes. They said, 'You Galileans, why do you just stand there looking up at an empty sky? This very Jesus who was taken up from among you to heaven will come as certainly and mysteriously as he left.'" Throughout the history of the Christian church, some Christians have been overly concerned about the time of Jesus' return. From the very beginning, when the apostles stood staring into the sky, expecting Jesus to come back right away, Christians have oftentimes got it wrong about when Jesus is to return. There really is no reason for that because the Bible makes it clear that we don't know when Jesus is returning. We know he is coming again in glory, and that event will come at some point in time. Jesus himself says he didn't know when he would return in glory. I like what St. Paul has to say about it. He says the only thing we know about Jesus' return is that it's closer today than it was yesterday. So the Ascension is not about focusing on the eventual return of Jesus, but the words to us today are the words the angels spoke to those first apostles, those Galileans who were gathered and witnessed his ascension into heaven. And that is, why do you stand staring into the sky, waiting for something that you don't know when it's going to happen? Rather, our task as Christians is to live our lives fully, as if Jesus were coming today, so that when he does come, we are prepared to welcome him by acts of faith and good works, so that we can, in fact, be prepared for that return of Jesus in glory. So, as we prepare in the days ahead to celebrate the Feast of the Ascension, let us renew our openness to the Spirit of God so that we might, in fact, be ready to celebrate with joy all that Jesus has called us to be and prepared to welcome him when he does come again in glory.